Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Samantha Madrid, and I lead the security business here at Juniper. I wanted to spend a little time with you to talk about the power of a threat-aware network. But before we get into how and what you need today, let's take a look back. Let's think about a little bit about where we've come in the security industry. The network has transformed at record pace. When we think about the last couple decades in particular, security has definitely been along for the ride, but its use cases and what its focus was for customers and for its users really has evolved. So when we think about 20 years ago, the late 90s, we think about secure connectivity. We think about getting data and users from one part of the network to the other, or from one actual network to another. And the reason behind that was to ensure that not just we had the speed and scale, but there was no compromise when moving that data from one part of the network to the other. But then something happened. Users got access to the internet, and internet connectivity became ubiquitous. Everybody had the ability to go online, look things up, share, collaborate. And that kind of changed how we thought about securing a network. If your HTTP requests came to be mostly like a transport protocol, everything was delivered on top of it. And so that really required us to think about not just how you secure a network, but how you maintain the integrity of the data on the network. And with that, introduced a number of what a lot of people would say, perhaps complexity for administrators, not just those that are utilizing the network, but those that have to build, maintain, and secure the network. And now we're at this another shift. Fast forward to 20-ish 10 timeframe to present, we're thinking about more and more the cloud and what that means. Now, when you kind of take a step back and you look back these couple decades, how you secured it also changed. It didn't just mean that you needed signature-based technologies when you're looking at threats in a connectivity-heavy environment like we saw in the late 90s, to present cybersecurity use cases and initiatives where we're looking at zero-day, phishing attacks, social engineering, everything that kind of grew and grew exponentially when people had access to the internet. To the present day, as workloads shift to the cloud, we see more and more that the abilities to detect threats and to mitigate them in real time is also requiring change. And the reason for this is, as workloads move to the cloud, how you identify the threat and the technologies you use to identify those threats are changing as well. You can no longer just necessarily rely on signature packs or updates from your existing gateway technologies to be able to see data coming in from a variety of locations. You can no longer just rely that you're going to understand and have a particular variant of threat identified and classified within your security products. And so this change really takes into account the evolutions of the network, the change in attack surface, because the networks have become more decentralized and having a connection point with the cloud. Additionally, because everything has become decentralized, scale and performance has become paramount. As you shift closer to the edge, you have to maintain that you not only have the uptime, the scale, and the speed required for the application, the user, and the experience, much like the experience we're having right now virtually, but you also need to make sure that you understand those complexities, that you need to make sure that your security technology has the ability to see the behavioral changes in those traffic patterns, not just that it can identify a particular threat by name. So what does this mean? Because we've shifted into how we construct a network, and because the network itself has changed and become decentralized, security can no longer be put at fixed places in the network. It can no longer just be sitting at a perimeter. It can no longer be relegated to particular types of technology. when we think back those 20 some odd years, what we see is security, while we've evolved in the evolution of identifying threats, how you delivered that intelligence and that ability to identify has largely been tied to three types of technologies: a firewall, a proxy-centric device that is really good at identifying web transactions, and an endpoint, so the user's physical device and where it sits on the network. So unless your intelligence has been able to identify those three types of traffic, you've pretty much left the entire network exposed, which is why you need to bring security more closely into the network, not just at the edge, but the entire network. And so when we at Juniper think about what that means, as we look to construct networks for the new era, we have to think about security's role in that, which is why a year ago or so, we launched our new initiative associated with securing a network. We are on a mission to change how you secure a network than you've ever seen before. And this is what we like to call connected security. Connected security is about extending security to every point of connection. It's about safeguarding your users, your applications, and your infrastructure, not just your users, not just your applications, and not ignoring your infrastructure. It's about bringing security to every point of connection. It's building in intelligence so that your network infrastructure has a way of being able to provide real-time detection, mitigation, and enforcement for your network. It's about converging what has largely been separated, the network and security. So what is Juniper Connected Security, and how do you get there? You get there with 3 easy steps. Now, I know you're probably saying, okay, this sounds like every security vendor on the market. We talk about increased detection, we talk about visibility, and we talk about policy enforcement. But the devil is often in the details. It's not just about detecting, it's about increasing your detection rates. Any vendor on the market can say, I offer detection, and they should, they're a security vendor. But increasing your detection rates is about increasing your visibility throughout the entire network, not just at the perimeters, whether it's a data center perimeter, internet gateway perimeter, or just when 2 networks communicate. It's actually extending you to the ability to see the entire network, the entire stack, and in any case, someone can infiltrate and be able to sneak around your blind spot. It's also about automated enforcement, not just automated attaching a user to a transaction or attaching a device to a transaction, but it's being able to take the data and automate the next step, whether you're talking layer 4, layer 7. It's about automating the entire flow. So the entire way of taking a policy and distributing it to the network is intact. It's really about building blocks for protecting a network from the endpoint to the edge and every single cloud in between. So let's talk a little bit about detection rates. As I said, detection is paramount, and increasing your detection rate should be an ongoing initiative in any environment. It's not just status quo. And so when we at Juniper think about what are and how we increase our detection rates, it's about being able to think about the things that have largely been tied to pure play security technologies, right? It's about advanced threat prevention. It's about being able to identify applications and whether or not that application is malformed and should have access and communicating on the network. It's about assigning reputation to the transaction. Is it known good? Is it known bad? And in addition, it's about protecting the entire network from an onslaught of denial of service attacks as well. But there's also an aspect of being able to adapt to the trends of the network and the trends of the traffic. One of the things we know in particular is that encrypted traffic has been increasing tenfold over the years. And in fact, depending on the network, it could be anywhere between 80 and 90% of the traffic is actually encrypted. So what does that mean for all your technologies that has largely been able to apply its security detection within the clear traffic? If the traffic is encrypted, this makes it pretty much a wild, wild west for anybody targeting your environment. And so one of the things that is critical is being able to secure the transaction, step one, but ensure that the transaction and the data that you're securing isn't malicious, and being able to do so without disrupting the scale and the performance or the user experience. And this is something that separates Juniper from the rest of the security industry. We have found a way to pair the behavioral analytics technologies that we have developed internally with the advanced detection capabilities known throughout the security industry, and being able to make a decision without compromising privacy and terminating the connection. We're able to see from the first negotiation of the transaction to whether or not that transaction is actually authentic and was intended for the network. And so having the ability to maintain detection and be able to identify malicious threats without compromising or breaking encryption has been a powerful differentiator for our technologies. But that's not the only one. Everything that we just talked about, the ability to identify advanced threats, the ability to protect your network from ransomware attacks, from malicious insiders, as well as being able to detect how applications behave, can all be extended to network infrastructure. So one of the things that has separated Juniper from the rest of the industry is our ability to make your network infrastructure threat aware. It's taking what we have identified as a known bad threat or a known bad entity and taking that data and distributing it to every network infrastructure that's in place, whether it's a router, a switch, or a wireless access point. So at that very moment of that first connection, our network infrastructure is intelligent enough to know, you know what? No, we shouldn't allow this transaction to continue. It's known that it's associated with a ransomware campaign. So we're going to drop it just like that. And then things that we aren't quite sure of, but have the behaviors that it may in fact be malicious, gets to move on to our more advanced technologies, whether, again, the traffic is traditional or encrypted. Next, visibility. So once you have the expanded capabilities of detection, you have to apply that to the entire network. And this is where Juniper, again, separates itself. The ability to provide visibility, not just what a firewall sees, but the entire network. And being able to give the flexibility to administrators to really look at their network from a variety of different lenses. And not to mention whether they're looking at it on their actual smart device, which you can see in the smaller screen, or larger through a single pane of glass centralized management. The views are absolutely mirrored. We have the ability through patented user experience technology, have the ability to right click and get all the data that's happened within the network, whether it's textualized or it's visual. A user can just right click, go in and drill in to see the application, the user, the device, and being able to get a really broad scope of what is happening on their network. So again, you're extending that line of sight. And then on the right of your screen here, you see about the constructs and being able to ensure that in fact, the policies that are working are actually working as intended. There's built-in mechanisms to prevent you from creating a policy that unintentionally opens a hole to your network. It's able to confirm the redundancy. It's able to confirm whether or not the policy was written as intended. So these are all the safeguards that allow you to see the visibility and see the entire network that you're hoping to see within your environment. Additionally, you can customize it where you want to look at it from a particular type of threat, or you want to see just where are the critical pieces that you need to see based on threat score. So the expanded capability to see not just the behaviors of your users, but also applications that are on the network can be done so easily through a single pane of glass. But in addition to visibility, visibility is tightly connected to policy enforcement. And this is one of the things that has made Juniper security so seamless in a variety of type of networks. One, we not only can orchestrate policy within the Juniper technology family, but we can do so with non-Juniper technology. So with our policy enforcer, which is our security orchestrator, working seamlessly with security director, which is a centralized management capabilities, we have a way to easily not just visually represent what's going on, but also to ensure that the detection capabilities that we have available get distributed to all the devices on the network. So whether it's a SRX firewall, of which we have virtual container form factors, or routers of our MX family or third party, as well as switching and wireless access points on the network. All this can be orchestrated. So if a threat is detected related to ransomware, as we talked about previously, it can then, those known attributes about that particular threat can be shared across all the network infrastructure, making it seamless with how you not just see your network, but enforce and detect on your network.
One of the top security challenges that every one of you are facing almost every day is DDoS attacks. So I want to share a very cool customer story with you. Linode is a cloud provider that operates 11 data centers around the world, serving more than 800,000 developers globally. What's cool about it is that they can leverage the MX routers they already have in their network, and simply by adding our software intelligence with the Threat Defense Director, they're able to not only protect their own infrastructure, but also offer real-time DDoS mitigation as a service to their customers, giving Linode a real competitive advantage. So really, Juniper Connected Security in action is an example that also showcases that security doesn't have to be just a cost center and liability. When it's done right, security can also be a revenue driver and a differentiator for your business. Another top of mind security challenge that I know many of you have been thinking about and planning around right now is how to secure the network from a 4G transitioning to 5G, particular with 4G networks and 5G networks having to coexist for quite some time. So here I want to share another customer who chose to partner with Juniper for securing that transition, 4G and 5G networks. It is a telco that's headquartered in Europe and is one of the largest service providers in the world. They've awarded Juniper 100% for their mobile security gateway, or SEC gateway for short, to secure their mobile backhaul, utilizing our SRX 5800 together with the SPC3 services card. One of the key requirements is to have really high performance and high availability to be able to support 5G fastest speeds as well as mission critical services. And of course, Juniper is known to deliver just that. Also, another benefit that they wanted to improve was overall operational efficiency. Previously, the customer needed to use separate platforms for CGNAT and IPsec. With our offering, they're able to consolidate services onto the same platform, which gives them savings of both CapEx and OpEx.
But in addition to DDoS mitigation or protecting a transition from 4G to 5G, one thing that is very, very important that we are laser focused on is the ability to increase our security efficacy, which is why we've partnered with NSS Labs to go ongoing testing of our security technologies. And testing is something that keeps us all on our toes. It keeps us the ability to make sure that we're providing the best detection for our customers. And so we recently participated in NSS Labs security gateway test for the data center. One of the things we were exceptionally proud about with this particular test is the fact that we blocked 100% of evasions. That's both client-side and server-side evasions, the client side being new for this particular test. And we did so by maintaining performance. So one of the things that we were exceptionally proud of, in addition to our overall detection rates that you see, we also were able to do that by maintaining high availability, which was something that all the other vendors opted out of. Juniper wanted to maintain our ability to not just deliver high capacity, high scale, reliable networks, but do so without compromising security or compromising the efficacy of our technology. And so we were exceptionally proud and quite honored that NSS is recommending us on everybody's shortlist. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning in, spending some time with us, and hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual summit.